This universe is probably, I'll say 90% feminine, 10% masculine. That is, there's more nothing than something. There's more space than aggression. Okay? That natural phenomena has to work. We've got to have these two parts to make things work. And we can see this at work in everything. We see a child at conception, and as it grows, is feminine much longer than it is masculine, a male child. It starts out as a female. All children do. And something happens, and then little things start to develop. And they do, and we become males. Okay. Become, we're kings of the world. Not knowing that we developed this as a secondary attribute. That's just the natural phenomena. The physical world works in connection with the non-physical world. So, as this experiment began, it had to start at a base, at a building block, at a building unit. Somewhere in the slime, two compatible DNAs came together. Out of that came something else. Now, that became the law. So now we have females and males as a result of that development. Just an example of how the thing works, okay? Not the whole thing, but just an example of how it works. Now, we begin, as that developed, okay, now we've got these elements. We've got air, we've got water, we've got earth. What is the better means for this creature to develop, this vehicle to develop so that we can use it, so that we can have the optimum experience as a physical entity? We can, first we can be fish. Okay, so we're running around in the primordial slime and the water and stuff, and there's a whole part of the world that we can't experience. Well, there's a whole other element here. We call it air. Let's see if we can put our consciousness into this thing and make it, if we could soar and see the world from here. And okay, so we did. At the same time, other experiments were going on. It was not, the spirit of man is not stupid or narrow in that, well, let's just try this experiment. No, it's like, okay, you try this experiment, you try this experiment, I'll try this experiment, and we'll see. Out of that, the experiment of human consciousness or intelligence in a bird-like creature ultimately gave rise in racial memory to angels. The experience in water and coming out and land gave rise to the racial memory of mermaids. Okay? Part of that was, we're intelligent, so we don't need a whole lot of brawn, so we be little. Out of that came, in the racial history, the wee people. Okay? Just experiments. You're talking millennia. You're talking time. Ultimately, in the latter part of that development, you're talking humanoids, big old head, little skinny bodies, with extremely developed mental sciences. But being real weakly and everything, anything that came along just kind of ran over us, okay? We're real smart, but we weren't real quick, okay? So what we became was food for slower, bigger things. Oh no, this is not the right conditions under which to survive, for the racial history of man, the history of man to survive. At the same time on Earth were humanoids who were little more than brutes. Those of you who read your Bible, in there, in one of the stories, it speaks to the sons and daughters of God marrying the sons and daughters of man. That is the part of the experiment. We're getting closer to this time. As a result, we developed for the conditions of that time, the ideal human form. Mass and intelligence. Oh boy, we may not be as fast as they are, as big as they are, but we can figure out ways to get your big butt. Now the evolution of man takes another process. We are now changing more slowly, and we're changing more slowly because the conditions under which we live are changing more slowly. It was at a kind of stable form for thousands of years. And we enter the end of that stability to move into another aspect of development, which means now man changes and becomes better equipped to deal with the aspects of changes of the earth now. So we are changing. All of that, I hope, answers your question from this morning about mankind and the development of mankind.